Racing games is a wide-ranging genre, from super fun arcade races to realistic sims with eye-popping graphics. There truly is a racing game for everyone. On the flip side, there are racing games that aren't for anyone. Tepid, stately experiences, underlined by shoddy graphics and a muddling presentation. This rundown features 15 such races, and whilst they aren't all without redeeming features, they're all tough to recommend. Need for Speed Payback. Payback rectified the always-online requirement of predecessor reboot Need for Speed, but that's about the only thing it got right. With its predictable story, dearth of police chases, and heavily scripted chases if there were any, poor handling, unrealistic car damage, loot box-style microtransactions, plus a format which didn't cohesively translate to open world, Need for Speed Payback is a low point in the otherwise esteemed racing series. Pac-Man World Rally. Bandai Namco's wacky racing formula for PlayStation 2 was an abject failure. Installing their iconic mascot behind the wheel alongside a minor gaggle of Namco characters from other franchises was the only original thing going for it. World Rally's weapons and its circuits were uninspired, and the racing itself was drab. Overall, Pac-Man World Rally's lack of individuality was too overpowering that even Inky, Blinky, Pinky and Clyde must have dreamt of being back in the maze. Flatout 3: Chaos and Destruction. Demolition Derby series Flatout championed a chaotic blend of racing destruction, trailblazing in the wake of Demolition Derby with its unique driver ragdoll physics. For the series' third iteration, out were original developer Bugbear Entertainment, and in were Team 6 Game Studio, and it was all downhill from there. Metacritic's lowest-ranking game of 2011, Flatout 3: Chaos and Destruction is an insult to the racing genre. Poor graphics, slack steering, awful AI, and barely a shred of chaos or destruction, Flatout 3 is widely regarded as one of the worst games of all time. Fast and Furious Showdown. Famed for their pompous, over-the-top stunt driving, cinematic showpieces, and memorable stories, the dumb fun of the Fast and the Furious should have been a slam-dunk translation to video games. Instead, careening through city streets at 200 miles per hour in Showdown felt like a laborious chore. Non-existent driving physics, patronizingly uneven mission difficulty, tepid world design, and appalling collision detection are just a handful of issues befalling players who were hoping for a racer with a bit more oomph. Vin Diesel opting not to provide his likeness to one of Showdown's forgettable characters is perhaps his shrewdest career move to date. Motorcycle Club. Motorcycle Club presents potential via its unique bike switching gimmick. A quick tap of the shoulder buttons on your controller switches between 3 different categories of two-wheelers: superbikes, roadsters, and customs, with the intention being to match the bike to the road surface. Problem is that this mechanic doesn't work in practice. It's much quicker just to stick with the superbike, even when riding the toughest off-road sections. With unenthusiastic objectives, tepid racing, dumb AI, and a criminally oblique tutorial, Motorcycle Club rarely hits the mark. Big Rigs over-the-road racing. The main issue with Big Rigs over-the-road racing was that its marketing massively oversold the prospect of careening along highways in a hulking 18-wheeler, transporting illegal cargo under constant chase from aggressive police cars. The reality was a clunky, horrible mess. The idea was sound, but technically speaking, the game was too glitchy to even get going. There's a reason Big Rigs over-the-road racing was critically panned on release, and sits as one of the lowest-rated games of all time on Metacritic. Bigfoot Collision Course. Featuring Bigfoot, the first ever monster truck, Bigfoot Collision Course promised chassis-crushing 4x4 action, but what we actually got was big-wheeled racers that handle worse than an oil tanker. And whilst there was variety in the racing circuits, the desert, forest and mountainous roadways were just too simple. The result was a boring racer, upheld further by blocky graphics and terrible presentation. A void. Need for Speed: The Run. Now, to be fair, Need for Speed: The Run isn't half bad. Its driving was passable, and its story-based premise presents something fairly unique in Need for Speed's canon, with its coast-to-coast racing. The big issue here, though, is the race from LA to New York City can be completed in approximately 2 hours. And well, that's just it. There's nothing else after that. Traffic spawns were a gripe with this one too, although Need for Speed: The Run should still be remembered for at least trying something different. Crash Tag Team Racing. Crash's first foray into wacky racing spawned numerous lookalikes, so by the time Crash Tag Team Racing emerged, gaming was saturated with derivatives. In response, Crash Tag Team Racing attempts to build in a point of differentiation with its platforming hub worlds. But thing is, this is a racing game. Who wants to be hopping around a hub world completing boring favors for NPCs when they could be, racing? Ridge Racer 2011. PlayStation Vita exclusive Ridge Racer had decent graphics, responsive handling and smooth racing. So, what's the issue? Well, this handheld experience is bereft of content. There's only a handful of cars to choose from, with a pittance of circuits to race on. Even the music was lackluster. Worse still, if you wanted more cars, tracks or music, you had to splash out for these with paid DLC. Spirit of Speed 1937. Casting racers back to the speed, danger and associated glamour of 1930s racing, Spirit of Speed 1937 featured 15 classic cars, including the first ever twin-supercharged single-seat racer, the Alfa Romeo P3. Its HUD displayed useful performance info and petrol usage too, although the cars and the HUD are the only interesting things with this game. Poorly designed tracks, simple graphics, and, in the case of the Dreamcast port at least, excruciatingly long load times. Whilst these cars have stood the test of time, sadly, Spirit of Speed 1937 is best left in the dustbins of history. Rockin' Racing Off-Road DX. A relatively recent entry on this rundown, 2017's Rockin' Racing Off-Road DX presents a top-down racer in the vein of classic Micro Machines. But, unlike Micro Machines' ability to draw players into its perspective, Rockin' Racing Off-Road DX's tracks were simply too far away. Players are more like satellite observers to the bland racing going on far below. Stiff controls, uninspiring racetracks, and a super annoying announcer who repeats the same phrases over and over means Rockin' Racing Off-Road DX is a very hard game to recommend. Pulse Racer. A futuristic racer in which players expel their own life force to boost acceleration, but the crux here is they must keep their heart rate in check to avoid cardiac arrest, thus forfeiting their life as well as the chance of victory. Whilst a novel idea, in practice, having to nurse the speedier vehicle for such an arbitrary reason goes against the spirit of racing games. It's no fun to have to temper your speed boosts, else you'll die. Yaris. No offense to Toyota Yaris owners, but the humble Yaris isn't exactly an exciting car to forge a racing game around. Yaris clearly was a marketing ploy to sell cars. Although, saying that, some of the design choices are wild. A static Yaris plunges through hellfire corridors, fending off intergalactic threats. It's bad, but not in a "this is so bad it's good" kind of way, but more a bizarre fever dream that you can't wake up from kind of bad. Hot Wheels, Beat That. Another entry on this rundown that aims to tap into the Micro Machines formula of racing minuscule vehicles. Only this time, these toy cars race through recognizable domestic settings. There's charm here for sure, but everything's so blandly designed. Toy racing should be fun, but Hot Wheels Beat That is boring. Even the cars, potentially the only saving grace, all handle the same, and stately at that. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. Have anything to say? Let us know in the comments below. Also, we upload new videos every single day on GamingBolt, so please consider subscribing, as it really helps us out. Thanks for watching.